What's up guys, Polk here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, something that we've done once before, but I want to make it a bit more of a regular thing. Before we jump into that, I do quickly want to remind you to subscribe to the channel and join the empire. Anyway, on that note, the video we're going to do today is on YouTube comments. I'm going to go through some of the comments you guys left, talk about them, as well as some of the great emails that we got at dpyourcommunity.org. I want to be able to give a little bit back to you guys. I want to be able to respond to some of the things that you have to say, maybe tell some jokes, whatever it takes, because I do appreciate everything that you guys give back to the videos. The channel has been blowing up lately, and I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and take a look at some comments. The first video I want to talk about is the Isildur top 5 pots ever online. Now, the first thing I want to address out of the gate, there were a lot of these comments that apparently they were playing the game where you raise to 3 blinds and have to re-raise to 9 blinds out of position. I cannot confirm nor deny this happened. I have heard of Isildur playing games like this, so I wouldn't say it's impossible. That said, what I do find a little weird is all of the hands that were 3-bet, 4-bet, etc., they were all kind of reasonable. Like maybe they were a little too loose, but they were close. That makes me think maybe they weren't playing that game in that particular instance because they played a bunch of times. Now, maybe they did. Maybe some of you guys were there to see it, and if so, I stand corrected. I know Isildur has played those kinds of games before, but to my knowledge, this was not the case. Can you do Isildur's top 5 limit Badoogie pots next? I think he had one get into the 3 figures once. That's in the works, but first off, we have Eric Seidel's Raz pots. I think there's a lot more interest there compared to Badoogie. You got bigger posters, LOL. Yes, I did. So originally, we had guys that were more like this, very reflective. You can see the reflection in the mirror. And I upgraded to be more like this because these guys sucked. They were too small and in the background. So I updated my poster game. I got some more in the works. Hopefully we get some more posters to put up on the background, but I try and mix it up and keep the decoration lighthearted and fun. Loving the content, bro. Still deciding who I prefer, you or Jason Mercier. Well there, Boise Freeman. You have 2 options. You could either be Boise Freeman or you could be Boise Freeman. It's really up to you. Take your pick. Why won't pots like this happen again? You mentioned that at the end of your video. I just got into poker a few months ago, and I don't really know the history of online poker. So back in the day, they had stakes that were a lot bigger. And the reason we won't ever see pots like this, well, there's a couple of reasons really, but the primary reason is that the blinds don't exist this big online anymore. It used to go up to 501K, with the big blind being $1,000 and the buy-in being 100K. In fact, some games you could buy in for 200K at 400, 800. But now the biggest game is 200, 400, so it's not really possible to rack up as many blinds. In order to play $1 million pot at 501K, you need 5 buy-ins each. At 200, 400, you need more like 12 and a half. So it's just not really possible to get that many blinds in, really. And thus, we're never going to see pots like this again. At least, in the current ecosystem, maybe down the road, some other sites open up. They have some high stakes. Who knows? But currently, not possible. And with the direction of online poker, I think it's unlikely we see blinds like this reopen back up at the high stakes. RIP full tilt. Our next video up was a poker hands from the 2014 World Series of Poker main event with Mark Newhouse. The hand was kind of interesting that included a river jam that it seems like some people in the comments seem to think might be a value bet, but most people realized it was a bluff. What was interesting about that hand was 10s was just too strong of a hand to bluff with, although some people seem to disagree with me, thinking that at any point, if you have a hand that's weak, probably going to lose, you should probably just jam. The problem with that thinking is that if you do that, your opponent can just call you whenever you jam and you'll be over bluffing. So you have to be a bit more strategic with it. And let's take a look at some comments. Is anyone else getting seduced by Doug Polk's eyes? We're back for another episode. That's it. That's it. I just can't take it anymore. I just can't do it. Doug, if you review PLO hands, will you call it PLOker hands? Okay, that one was actually pretty good, man. Cheers. Okay, so this video is my second favorite video that I did in the last week and a half. Had a lot of fun with it. It's actually probably one of my top 3 or 4 videos I've ever done. It's the fastest way to win money in poker, guaranteed. And it's a video about the new 5-minute format from PokerStars with super high rake, and it's basically a cash game. Let's check out some comments. The first comment I want to talk about is actually a comment I made, and I said, I'm proud of the work I put into the channel this week. I managed to get a video every day with high quality content. If you guys want more of this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's try to make this a bigger game together. And I want to just address that really quick because I like to be very straight up with my audience. A lot of guys try and masquerade what they're doing. But the way that it works on YouTube is if videos have likes, if they have comments, if they get engagement, YouTube flags those videos and boosts them to be shown to more people. So I know some of you guys are like, oh, Doug, I know, subscribe, like, etc. But it really does help. Even when you leave just a comment about whatever in the chat and you like the video, that actually helps. It helps me out. So I want to say thank you to all the people that, this video got 1,700 likes, and I really do appreciate that help from you guys because it's going to help my channel grow. I'm just going to keep it as straight up with you as I can. This next comment is from Joe Ingram 1. I think PokerStars should change its name. God damn it. I want to give a shout out to Marvin Nash, who had a great reference from a prior video we did on DNEGs and the rake changes at PokerStars. And he says, but it has more rake, so it's better. We did a few videos on Tom Dwan this week, and this was actually a Poker Hands episode of it, where Tom Dwan calls a raise out of the small line with ace-jack and proceeds to play it aggressively. Double Cock Unicorn says, I need money for hose. Don't worry, it's legal in Germany. First off, fitting name. Second off, sent. You know why? I like your moxie there, bro. You're standing up, you're saying what it's for, and that's what counts. Thanks. Michael Smithy says, I think Dwan was repping specifically a deuce and then goes on to talk about having a deuce. Look, suited hands can only have 2 combinations of deuces because there are 2 deuces on the board. And no, it's not standard to flat hands like 4-2 suited, 3-2 suited out of the small blind. That's not standard at all. So really, ace-2 suited maybe, and other than that, he doesn't have a deuce. The small blind and the big blind are not the same position. The big blind can have a reasonable number of deuces. The small blind cannot. So if your logic is Dwan is repping a deuce, he should be checking, because a deuce is probably higher value to check, and you have almost no deuces in your range as the small blind. Doug, I feel like it's time to explain what's on your finger in the TV games with Ozzy, Matt, Coleman, etc. Okay, so last summer, there was a high-stakes game at Aria televised on Poker Central, and unfortunately, a few days before, I dropped the weight on my finger, bros lift. Anyway, I broke my finger and had to get a splint for it. So, by the way, one of the most painful experiences of my life. Didn't realize how brutal smashing a finger is. Anyone that has had that happen to them knows what I'm talking about. It really sucked. Anyway, still played the cash game, and no, it wasn't a fashion statement. I really hope people don't think that. Man, that would suck. Anyway, that's what that was. Next up, we did another episode of Poker Hands. This time on Scott Seaver's bluff against Tobias Renkemeyer in the $1 million one drop. Definitely one of the most epic TV hands I can remember. Also, we changed up the thumbnail style a little bit, took out the green column, and we're just going to do a little experimenting. We're just going to see what works, what doesn't work. So this is probably a good time to talk about the titling of the videos because, as you may have noticed, they've changed a bunch in the last week and a half. And what I realized is that a lot of the people that when they see these videos, they weren't looking at it because they don't know what a Poker Hands is, right? Now, you guys know what that episode is, but to the YouTube masses, they don't. So I want you to know the content will always be good. It's always going to be high-value content from me. But the titles and the thumbnails, I'm going to try and make it a little more casual, player-friendly, and also make fun of it a little bit when I can, like in one of the videos coming up. But anyway, back to the Scott Seaver comments. You say that said or having said that at least 20 times every video. That's a good point, and I'll try to do a better job of not using it. That being said, it's tough when there's one point and another point you want to make a counter argument to. There's only so many transitional phrases. That said, I will try and be a little bit more selective on my language to pick out better phrases to use in my points. Will you still be making poker news, or is that show scratched in favor of Table Talk? Table Talk is my new show with Joe Ingram 1 where we talk about issues in the news, so it's definitely in the same arena. Here's the thing about poker news that I found. Basically, when I had an interesting episode, a lot of stuff to talk about, it was good, it went well. But the thing is, by grinding out every news story, I found that it kind of brought the overall level down. So I'm kind of putting poker news on the back burner for the time being. I'm probably going to do occasional special episodes of poker news. But all in all, we're going to be doing more table talk when it comes to news. Guys, to be honest with you, I learned something from this video. I didn't realize how many Scott Seaver fans we had on the channel. So in the future, I'll try and be a little more tactful on saying anything negative, making fun of Scott, because I don't want to offend all of the people that really stuck up for Scott here. I understand, guys. I got you. Next up, we have the top 3 worst calls in poker history ever of all time. Now, some people didn't get the joke out of the gate, but obviously I'm overemphasizing how long the period of time is in order to try and attract casual players and also kind of poke fun at it. I mean, guys, there were flames and explosions in this video before hand number 1. I think you should have picked it up. Anyway, this video looked at 3 different hands where people made exceptionally bad calls. A big problem with Dwan's call is that he's blocking the hands he wants Daniel to have. Consider folding 9-5 in this spot and stick to calling with stronger hands like 9-8. Now that actually sounds like a joke and it probably is a little bit of a troll, but it actually does have some merit. When he has a 5 in his hand, he has a card that he really wants Negreanu to have. Either way, this call in hand number 2 was bad, but that does make it a little bit better. Doug Polk Poker ad on Doug Polk Poker video is a bit redundant. And that's true. Basically, I'm doing some YouTube advertising for people that are not subscribed to the channel that have been here before. Now, sometimes when you do subscribe, YouTube doesn't update their ad program fast enough and people that are subscribed to get fed an ad. If that happens, I'm sorry. Trust me, I'm not trying to advertise my channel to people that are already subscribed. That said, is it that bad to see me instead of just some company? Can't be that bad. I love how Doug hangs a giant lampshade over everything he's doing even as he produces his obvious clickbait. And that's true. I like you guys to be involved in the jokes. If I'm going to do something to try and bring in some more casual people, I'm going to have fun with it and make it obvious that we're joking around. Next up, we did a final poker hands analysis on a hand between Qui Win and Gord Veo. Bob Mob says, more like Borden Gayo. You can do better, dude. Come on. Doug, we've talked it through, and this community wants to offer you a new keyboard. It looks like your L key is really unreliable. Look, guys, I just don't know how much more of this I can take, and it's not my keyboard. My keyboard is fine. This isn't the problem. The problem is you guys just can't leave this alone. Okay? Let's move on. Before we go, we're going to take a look at some of the best submissions on dpyourcommunity.org. I also have to say that we sent out a lot to people in the community to try and help them out. I think it ended up totaling about $14.4 thousand. It's a lot to give out, but I want to say I appreciate that you guys didn't ask for more because you said, you know what, let's ask Doug for an amount that he can send out and it won't hurt him too bad. So that way more people can be helped in the future. You weren't selfish, and I just want to let you know that I appreciate that. First up we have here, Steve Microsoft. Your computer is in danger. You send me $500 to fix. I'm from Microsoft, 100% legit, no scam. Well, I would normally be a little skeptical here. Your last name is Microsoft, so the money's sent. Gus Hansen says, whoa, greatdane@gmail.com. This actually might be Gus Hansen. Help, need direct PayPal investment of $20.7 million fast. Why $20.7 million? Where could you have lost that much money? Hey Doug, I'm starting my poker career tomorrow and I'm looking for someone to stake me, as I truly believe I will be successful because my mother always told me I could do whatever I want. Thank you. Sent. And yes, you can. Don't let anyone ever tell you no. Finally, and this is an honor here, Hillary Clinton reached out at hillaryclintonpoker@gmail.com and said, hey Doug, could I please have a small loan of $1 million to play Heads Up, No Limit? Lost all the money in the election. Hashtag just politician things. Thanks for the help. And first off, I am honored that Hillary would come to the DP Your Community Foundation to ask for help, because that's you know what? People say a lot of things about Hillary, but in my book, not a bad gal. However, $1 million is a bit outside of the DP Your Community budget. We're willing to send over 5 or 10,000. I'll get back to you with the details. But again, thanks for reaching out. Okay, that's going to do it for me here today. Thank you for all of your comments. We'll do some more of these in the future. And I just want to say thanks for all of your input because it gives me some material to run with. And there are some genuinely nice comments. I'll see you guys later. If you're interested in more content from me, I do have another channel. It's non-poker. We only have a couple of videos up so far, but I'll probably add some in as I have some good ideas. You can check it out in the description below. Thanks, guys.